Sorry, being a practicing lawyer here in Australia, are there challenges that you've come across being an immigrant?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
A lot, and a lot of it has to do with race, right?
Yeah.
Is the issues that I face, and it goes back to even university.
Yeah.
Because what would happen at university, you'd be at law school, and what used to happen is the law firms would host like these networking events.
Yeah.
And so you'd go there, and then I walk in and I'm like, I'm the only black person here, So there was always that. So even from university, you've got this mental barrier of it, because I believe it's hard to visualize yourself somewhere if you can't see anybody who looks like you in that space.
Yeah.
So, because role models are important, right?
Yeah.
Role models and mentors.
Yeah.
And so I found that really difficult because I was like, the places I go, I'm the only black person here. It seems generally like there's not many Africans in the profession.
Yeah.
So it was really important for me to try and push to find some. And then I eventually found some people along the way who really guided me in that sense.
Yeah.
And I was really happy to find other Africans because I'm like, yeah, we can actually do it.
Yeah.
And it also translated to the workplace because I experienced some racism as well in the workplace in some of the places I worked at, which wasn't really nice, right?
Yeah.
And so it sort of makes you walk around. It makes you question yourself a lot.
Yeah.
Because you realize that you feel like people are always watching you because of your color.
Yeah.
And so you're like, okay, cool. If I do anything, it just adds pressure. Like if you worry that if I maybe don't get something right, then it looks really bad.
Yeah.
And the race adds to it.
So you have to be above the bar.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And work a bit extra hard.
Exactly. Just to prove yourself. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it's like you realize if you don't get it right, everyone remembers. If you get it right, everyone remembers.
Yeah.
So I've always just tried to look at it from a positive perspective that if you do good, it can allow you to stand out as well.
Yeah.
Because you know that there's not many people in your position.
Yeah. I came across the other day. I can't remember. It was I think it was an African lawyer based in Sydney, originally from also Zimbabwe, who was saying how he worked in this firm that is supposed to fight for, give aid, legal aid to the community, and they couldn't allocate her cases.
Right.
She's there 9 to 5, like several days a week, and there is no allocation of cases. And it was a bit frustrating for her. But now she's doing well, So there are challenges, guys. There's nothing that comes easy, but when you are able to get to know the system, you are able to be confident and be able how to navigate the system. So the other thing that you mentioned earlier on, it was about you also help people in terms of will. So I believe it is important for us immigrant community to understand the purpose of the will, how the will needs to be in place, because I think these are some of the practices that still, as immigrants, we have still not thought about really. And so what can you tell a little bit more about will? And
so will comes into the general category of called estate planning. So, and your estate is the things that you own.
And when can you start that? When you're old? When you're young?
You can start a will anytime, even when you're young, right? So I would say like even people in their 20s should have a will, hopefully, because people have this idea that I only need to have a will when I'm old or if I have a lot of money. And I think that's not true at all. Like I think because what happens is when you have a will, what it does really is it gives people instructions about how all of your things are to be dealt with or shared when you're gone. So I think those are very important instructions. And if you pass away and you don't have a will, then there's a much more complex process that has to happen. And why I think it's so important is because two things. Firstly, when you lose somebody in your life, like let's say a parent, at the time you lose them, you're sad, you're crying, you're stressed. There's a lot of other things happening. And then on top of that, there's no will, so something has to be done with all their things, but you don't have instructions. So now you have to go through the longer, complex process. And when people are already stressed and upset, it doesn't help, right? And the other thing I think is, for a lot of people, for a lot of migrants who have come here, they've done well, they've purchased property and all of these other things, and they've worked so hard to accumulate a lot of stuff for themselves and their families. the least you can do is have the instructions so it's dealt with properly, right?
Yeah.
Because these are all important things. And I think what people forget is like, usually when you sign a contract, like let's say employment contract, business contract, it's all fine because you're alive and that's when it works. But with wills, it's important when you're not here.
Yeah.
So if it's not done, or it's not done properly, then that's a lot of consequences for your family and your loved ones, right?
Yeah.
So I think you at least owe it to your children, your relatives, to make sure that you put your affairs in order before you're gone.
Yeah.
I think it's important.
Yeah. Also, do you think we have a lot of international students? Like in Kenya community, we've lost a lot of international students.
Yeah.
We've lost not just international students, we've lost Kenyans here in Australia. And I think a will is very important for people to have. And instructions, as you say, on how people should be able to how their things needs to be dealt with. So what can you tell about international students? Do you think it's important for them to have a will?
Yeah, I think it's still important for everybody to have one. Obviously, like the big.
We're not trying to send someone home very quick, but I think it's a good discussion to have. It's the reality that is happening in our community.
It is. It's a reality, right? And you really never know when something happens to you, right?
Yeah.
We just have no control over these things, and I understand that sometimes it's just a matter of cost, right? Cost and all of that, and so there's cheaper solutions and stuff like that, and there's sometimes places online where you can find like the free templates and all of that. Because ideally for people, you'd have a will that's written by a lawyer who has experience doing it and understands, and all of this, which I understand for some people costs a bit of money, and you honestly might have other things that are more important or priorities at the time. But I think even if you're an international student or whoever it is, it's important to have these things in place. Right? And I think even more so for migrants, because I know like even in the Zim community, there's a situation where a lot of people had property and other things back home. And then they move over here and then they get more. So then you've also got to think about how it's going to be dealt with back home as well. You know? So it's important to have those conversations, So even to your question, international students, I think when they do get the opportunity, that's something they should put in place. Definitely,
That's good. As an international student, you've heard from the lawyer himself here, Peter. I think it's also good to have that paperwork done. We're not trying to send you to the other world very quick, but I think it's important to have it because you've seen even communication. When someone dies, there's no contacts. People have not given out their contacts, who to be reached when something happens. I think it's important. Guys, thanks a lot for being with us at OzKenya Talk Show. Kindly like, subscribe, share. More is coming. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
All right, thanks, man.
Good. No, thank you.
Oh, good. Welcome.